Welcome to the Possibility Paradigm podcast, where we have conversations that are at the intersection of possibility, consciousness, actual experience, and energetic intelligence. The Possibility Paradigm are actually more than conversations. They're experiences that can change your tomorrows. Let's jump into today's episode. Hi everyone, here we are again at the Possibility Paradigm podcast, and I'm Grace Ambrook. Today the paradigm that we're shifting is around unconsciously negotiating with life, and we're going to address pattern interrupts and being your own authority. So let's start with, you're not actually here to give your power to signs or finding reasons why you can or cannot, or justifying why you do or do not. You are here to be the sign of change, of difference. And if that's not resonating with you, you might like to listen to episode 24, the episode before this, and that will make even more sense for you. So this is where we're taking it a step further, because it's this, because we've been very trained to actually seek external validation or permission from things like status or position or money or time. And any time we're looking for that validation or that permission, we're actually negotiating with life. We're trying to get it and us to do something, to create something. And that's pretty much exhausting, and it eliminates a whole other paradigm of possibility, because negotiating is not really freedom. Negotiating means that each party has to give something up. And really what we're talking about here is all the parties creating greater. And it's not about necessarily, well, if you do give things up, it'll be because you've completely outgrown them and you recognize that you have, not because you have to. So, stating the obvious, the world stage is going through a massive shift, and old structures are cracking. And as I keep saying, it's a breakthrough that looks like a breakdown, depending on how you view things. But it's true, the old structures are cracking, and a whole lot of stuff, including power dynamics, are being exposed. The fear narratives are very loud, and many people are still externalizing this. Who's in control? Who has the power? Who is protecting me? How do I feel safe? How do I stay safe? And I'm not saying that they're not, in some instances, very valid and real questions, but I'm taking this into a new paradigm with you, because we are witnessing the breakthrough via breakdown of misappropriated power over. This is a massive universal wedgie, and so it's also the opportunity to see where you're doing the same thing on a personal level. Now, you'll probably go all jiggledy and biggledy and refuse to be all of these terrible things that we're witnessing. But you'd be a very rare person if you've never misused a position of appointed power somewhere in your life. And this is why dynamic neutrality is required for the ascension of consciousness, because if you're making that wrong, then you're actually only ever really going to be trying to make up for something that you did out of lower consciousness. If you're not judging it, then you are truly into the freedom frequencies and much more receptive to greater opportunities and different possibilities. So this is where we are also, what this is exposing personally and globally, is where we're still locating safety and power in false structures, right? Personally and globally. And those false structures are often in the hands of others. And that's where you will see shame and blame occurring. So the government should do this, the council should do that. And again, this is not right or wrong, right? I'm just pointing out and bringing to the surface the dynamics behind these these judgments and projections and blaming and shaming as people get more and more frightened and concerned about our freedoms. You know, we've been kind of disillusioned thinking that we've been in freedom when really we've been being manipulated and managed. And now that's coming to the surface. And that's why I do a lot of work with the freedom frequencies, but perhaps that's a conversation for another day. Certainly for people, if you're actually interested in doing that, get in touch with me. And there's a couple of opportunities I have working with freeing your field and freeing the freedom frequencies in you and your life and what you're creating, because this change doesn't lay in the hands of governments. They've had a go. They've been trying to get it sorted out, and it hasn't really worked. It's actually in individuals, in all of us, creating lives of a higher quality. But anyway, I'm getting a little distracted. So let's go back, and we're in a universal wedgie, and so we're identifying where we're locating safety and power in false structures. And the other day I saw a really good post, and it was, I've forgotten who it's from, but it was identifying the wake-up calls and also calling out the laziness of humanity, and, you know, waiting for external authorities to fix what's going on. And all of those things may be valid, but sadly, what saddened me around this is it was still infiltrated, woven by the need to fight. And as a paradigm shift, what is being asked of us is to find the inner source, the inner resources that out-creates, because fighting is old world and is naturally embedded in the rightness and wrongness, rightness and wrongness, and the winners and losers, and the blaming and the shaming. And we already know what fighting creates. It's very clear who's right and who's wrong, and fighting what's right and legislating what's wrong and who's wrong. We already know what that creates. And we cannot take the old mechanisms and expect them to create something different. This is asking us to out-create personally and globally. And every time we make a judgment of ourselves and of others and of governments and of religions, you're holding the power. Oh, no, let me phrase this differently. Judgments of those who perceivably hold power, when you judge them, you keep yourself tied to them. And when you're tied to things, you are giving them energy. So it's not about denial, and it's not about having well, I would actually suggest there's a very big difference from having a reactive response rather than having a responsible response. And so it's not saying these things aren't happening and you're aware of them. And from that awareness, what do you choose and who do you choose to be in your world, in the world? So one of the things that you could start to do is notice where you are continuously still measuring yourself against external markers, particularly where numbers tell you who you are, right? It's a classic. And again, we've all been programmed. How many followers do I have? How many likes? How many people watch my YouTube video or my podcast? And how are you measuring who you are against that? And so, the numbers are so interesting, and net worth, followers, titles, recognition, age, milestones. Um, you know, I don't know at what point, growing and developing turned into aging, but, that's one of those mystery points apparently where suddenly it's the same point where you stop falling over and you have a fall. But anyway, I diverge. But with this measuring against external markers, I want you to also begin to relate that, if you choose, relate to that to where the exhaustion creeps in. It's like, oh, like that's the competition. You're evaluating, you're judging, you're chasing, you're comparing, competing, and compromising. And again, in some of the other podcasts, I've talked about the difference between, competition and, you just look at high level sports people, and when they're on a court or on a racing track or wherever it might be, they're absolutely competing. But when you see them at the end of that, they've stepped out of comparing. It's not about a comparison because they're all high level athletes. There's something in the moment or the moments of that competition that sits way outside comparison, right? Anyway, because those things, this evaluating, judging, chasing, comparing, competing, compromising, particularly, is exhaustion. And it's because it makes life look hard. And the exhaustion is related to hardship. There's many ships to be on. Hardship is not one that I choose to be on. Where do you choose? What floats your boat? I'm on the ease ship. And ease is full of commitment and consistency and other things, but it's not about hardship. And it's certainly not about efforting. It requires effort, but not efforting, right? And so, what ship are you on? But, exhaustion, hardship, they all sitting behind all of that is that this unconscious extraction of permission and validation from structures that were never ever meant to define you. So this is where the structures are outmoded, and part of these are breaking through, right? But they were never meant to define you. Numbers were never meant to define you. They're just intel, not definition. An intel that you can use by the power of your choice and awareness and go, oh, that's interesting. Oh, wow. Okay. So behind all of this, as you know, within the possibility paradigm, I talk a lot about energy and frequency. And I want to make something very clear here as we're moving through this episode today. Frequency is not passive, and possibility is not fantasy. These are connectors, they're activators, they're movers, they're momentum. And what you choose escalates a possibility into the reality. What you hesitate over, what you wait for from last episode, what you delay, then things remain theoretical. And then you bitch and complain because it's not happening. Because you're in that loop that I spoke of. That's about doubt, waiting, conditional living. This is about a level of certainty that is the inner source from which you then step out into the world. And part of that is what happens if it's already done. Now, I have resisted the it's already done energy for decades, right? I thought, what a lot of hooey-pooey. And in the recent readjustment of all the energies and and the contributions that I am putting into the field, I now completely embrace the already done because I sense it and the frequency of it is extraordinarily, it just has a bucket load of momentum, and I love movement and momentum and voltage. And so when you are truly living, and again, there's opportunities to open that up in personal work with me, but when you're truly living from the already done, something totally shifts. Your choices stabilize. Your actions clarify. Your nervous system stops bargaining with reality. And what's most delicious is you stop chasing life because it's already done. And all that exhaustion is where you're chasing the numbers and chasing this and chasing that. When you're coming from it's already done, the choices you make, the energy with which you show up and participate in life is completely different. And life then begins to meet you at that level of authority that you are living at. And this is frequency, this is resonance, this is coherence, because the field then reorganizes around what you're stabilizing. It's always organizing around what you're stabilizing. It's just that with this, hopefully, you're stabilizing something completely different because it's already done. And it's not because you're making it happen, but because you are embodying and anchoring the frequency and the frequency of it's already done. And this is what your energy runs on. That's why you can be certain, because it's already done. This is not passive. This is not high voltage. This is not meditation. This is living and choosing a clear direction in your life and then making choices according to it, not getting hooked up and looped up in doubt and uncertainty or requiring certainty, because you are certainty. But the stabilization of this leads to an inevitability via detachment from outcome or the requirement of external proof. So you are always living on the edge of tomorrow, and you are the awakening mystery. Always have been, always will be. And that's a key. And, when, the resistance and the delay and the waiting and the doubting is programming. And it's only as deep and heavy as you determine it to be. And that's where you will pull in all the reasons because of your childhood, because of your programming, because of your heritage, because of your karma. And I'm not saying that all of those things are not influences in your field, but as we're all undergoing this universal wedgie, man, they can shift in the drop of the hat as you take authority in your own life and do not assume that your past directs your future or dominates your current experience. So, we have the ability to create with enjoyment, commitment, wonder from internal resonance, not external reactivity, because that's survival, basically. So again, this distortion can be quite subtle. So I'm going to give you a few pointers and hints are called hinters. I love making up new words. And so these hinters are indicators of what happens when you forget who you really are and you show up as the person you have to be in order to make things happen or to keep the peace or to disturb the peace. And it sounds, it sounds a little bit like, oh, that's all right. That just doesn't happen for me. This just, other people can, but I just don't seem to be able to work this out. Or where you go searching for signs and reasons. And hopefully in this space that I'm creating today, when I say you're searching for signs and reasons, you can feel and sense how much you've just gone external validation, and all your power is in what happens out there, and then you making meaning and significance of it. And what this is an invitation to shift into is like, it's all happening in here and it's showing me what's happening in here. So when you give up looking and requiring signs and reasons, very popular in the personal development, giving meaning and significance to things that happen and then make a judgment on ourselves. And that has brought us to this point. And I'm in gratitude for that, but it's outdated. It's yesteryear, not the way we create into the future. Because now they're running as it's a power transference, an unconscious power transference, which is a disconnect from the inner resonance of you and the truth of who you are. This is where we forget who we are. And it's very popular to forget who you are. And what happens when you do is that you default to delay, reasons, justifications, and other methods of negotiating with reality. So here's the shift again. Here's the new paradigm, stabilization. What do you, well, let me make this a bit clearer. This is what you know that's ripe for you right now to shift, is asking yourself, what do you know about, no, let me rephrase this again. Sorry. Sometimes I get a whole lot of things all at once. And my intention is for making these episodes clearer and clearer and clearer for you. One of the things that you can choose to explore for yourself is, what do you actually already know about yourself that requires no external validation? Play with that for a day or two or three or four and see what shifts for you, right? What is true for you, even if no one claps, even if you're not rewarded or acknowledged? What is still true for you, even if no one claps? Even if the bank account dips, even if no one understands? And so, those two questions, be that, like, dwell in inevitability. This is not arrogance. It's not delusion. It's inevitability. It's already done. And so the choices that are in front of you right now is, you can remain devoted to doubt, or you can devote yourself to inevitability. It's already done. One of them maintains distortion and delay, and the other one stabilizes authority and expands possibility. You're not waiting for the power. You've always been the power. You are the source of power. You always have been. And when we all live from that, you begin to stop negotiating a mediocre life and begin creating beyond your wildest imagination. Because remember, you are the possibility. Thanks for listening. Bye for now. I hope today's episode really opened up your world and opened up your possibilities. As I would have mentioned during the episode, the possibilities calendar is available for people who subscribe. It's a simple prompt to have either on your wall, on your desk, gives you daily conscious activations, resets your energy in attunement with the possibilities that are you. It's a great energetic anchor. Simply hit the link here and sign up as a subscriber, and that will be on its way to you instantly. Thanks for listening.